Hey, hello everybody. Well, first of all, congratulations on your place at York Law School. We're very much looking forward to welcoming you to the university at the end of next month. It always comes around very quickly indeed. I'm Jed, I'm a lecturer in the department, and I'm also the first year tutor, which means I look after a couple of modules in the first year of the programme and do some teaching later in the programme as well. What this video is really is a short hello from us and a bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing between now and the start of term. We understand you'll have received quite a few emails from the Central University on things like accommodation and other aspects of university life as well, and we'll be doing so in the run-up to your time here as well. But we want to run a parallel programme as a law school, which we sort of call loosely a pre-induction, if you like, a series of videos between now and when you start up with us at the end of September, just to make sure you know what's happening, help to prepare you a little bit for starting up at your time here at your law school. So what this video will do is provide a bit of an overview of that, deal with a couple of frequently asked questions we tend to get at this point in the cycle as well, and then just touch on something that's quite different about your law school, and it's very important that you know before you start, which is the problem-based learning aspect of our qualifying law degree teaching, all of those core legal subjects being taught through problem-based learning. So I'm going to cover each of those things in the course of this video. So in terms of what's coming up between now and between you starting up on your program here, we've got quite a few people from different programs watching this video. I've sent this out to quite a few different programs. So there's those of us on your 3-year program, the 3-year LLB degree. There's those of you on the 2-year senior status degree in our JD program. Then there's the law and criminology students as well. So what I'm about to say applies to all of you, though the actual structure of your course across those programs varies a bit, which is something I'll come on to later in this pre-induction program. In terms of what's coming up, I'm going to explain what we're doing here. That's what I mean by start the pre-induction. Then the next video I send, which will be in a couple of weeks, I think it's 26th of August, something like that, normally that week, I'll talk a bit more about transitioning to study at York Law School. What we've done is ask all of our current students, or the current students going into their second year, to sort of think back to if they were giving themselves advice in the position you guys are in now. So think back to when you were first coming in, what would you want to say to yourself at that point? And the students have responded really well to that. So we're going to give you that advice effectively. So I'll pick out some snippets of it and give you the full text of that advice as well. And that'll be the theme for that video. And I'll also pick up on any questions I've had in the meantime as well. After that, we're then going to move on to sort of in early September to think a bit more about the student law firm. So as you may already be aware, the teaching we do within your law school on both a qualifying law degree subjects, so all of those individual law subjects, criminal, public, obligations and so on, and for those of you who are on our 3-year program and 2-year senior status program, tuition in legal skills and the other subjects you'll be doing, is done within a student law firm. You're effectively in the same group across those different modules. So I'm going to talk a bit more about how that operates, how the student law firm works, and again revisit some of the advice from our current students as well on how that goes within the first year of the program. Then what we'll do, really the week before or so, before academic week 1, is a very granular, matter-of-fact rundown of what's happening within the first week of the program. So you know where you're going, you know, have a bit of an idea of the space, because I know for a lot of you guys you might not have had a chance to visit this year with all the coronavirus restrictions and so on. So to give you a bit of a tour of what's kicking off where, I appreciate the run-up to university, particularly just the week before you come, can be a little bit nerve-wracking because it's a whole new environment, it's a different way of studying, you're likely to be moving accommodation for many of you as well. So the idea is to give you a very blow-by-blow account of everything that's going to be happening within the first week, and we'll do that just the week before you come, so normally a week to 10 days out I'll send that. Then we hit academic week 1, the induction starts, and we're cooking on gas. Things get underway really from the Wednesday of the first week. The little guide thingy I've put up on the screen there, that Foundations in Law 1 booklet, is the module you'll all do, regardless of programme, within the first 5 weeks of the term, and that's your sort of getting up to speed on legal fundamentals, on problem-based learning, on the various subject areas and so on. So there's a very structured initial 5 weeks where you're brought up from no assumed knowledge really, all the way up to the point where you're able to participate on the Foundations in Law programme. I'll be explaining a lot more about that as we go through this pre-induction, and you'll have access to a full copy written guide when you get here about everything that's happening within the first 5 weeks. So just turning now to some frequently asked questions, some stuff we tend to get up at this time of year. Just before I do so, you're very welcome to send through any questions to me via email or to post a little link there, tinyurl.com/wireless questions. So do feel free to email me at any point between now and the start of the year if there's anything you'd like to ask. I've got some research obligations and some other bits between now and the start of term, so I'll get back to you as soon as I can get back to you, but it might not be within the same day or two. But before the next video, do feel free to post anything at this link I've put up on the screen, so tinyurl.com/wireless questions, if you'd like to send those through anonymously. And then I'll sort of collate common questions and try to include those in the next video as well. But as I say, you're also very welcome to email me. The little caveat I've put up on the slide here is just to say that we can answer questions about your law school, but I'd be useless for you in answering questions about accommodation or that sort of stuff. So that's probably best sent to the Central University. But if you're unsure where to post anything and you've got a question, feel free to contact me either via email or by posting questions on that link I've just put up on the screen. That having been said, I'll return to ones that we tend to always get and ones that we've sort of had creeping through already via email as well. So the first of those is there anything I need to read before I come? The short answer to this is no, there's no reading required in advance. Do please keep tabs on your email for these pre-induction videos and so on. I'd encourage you to do reading for fun, or reading that interests you, or to keep on top of current affairs is also useful as well. But there's nothing we require you to read before starting the programme. That being said, if you're after something to read just because you're bored, or you want something to be doing between now and starting up, feel free to email me, because there's a couple of books I'd recommend which I think are good books, but and sort of a vaguely law themed in some way. But I don't feel under any pressure to be doing any reading before you come. The Foundations in Law course that I've just spoken about, that FL1 module, that first 5 weeks, is designed to bring you up to speed on fundamentals of the English legal system, of problem-based learning and so on. So there's no need to do that before you come. We also know for many people, some people might not have a lot of time to be doing things. They may be working, they may be doing other things as well before they arrive. So we don't want to have expectations on people before they come to do any reading in advance. The second question we tend to get, sort of related, is what textbooks you need to buy for the first year. We don't require students to buy any textbooks, or we don't advise that students buy a lot of textbooks in advance. There's all sorts of reasons for this. One is if you're buying textbooks that, for instance, may go out of date so you're buying an old law student's textbooks or whatever, they may no longer be good law. Also because we offer quite a lot of access to all sorts of textbooks across the programme. I've put Law Trove up on the screen there. Effectively, you get online access to all Oxford University Press textbooks. We'll normally have a few for each subject area. And what we tend to advise students to do is, when they're doing their research over the course of the first 5 weeks of the programme and the initial term, is to see what textbooks they prefer using within Law Trove or some of the other textbooks held by the library. And if they really, really like a particular textbook, or they prefer to have a hard copy of a textbook, to buy one once you know what textbooks you like, because normally there's a few that you might use for a particular qualifying law degree subject, for instance. So there's no need to buy any textbooks in advance. In fact, I would recommend you don't do so, because you'll get a bit of a better feel within the first 5 weeks of what sort of textbooks you prefer for any given subject area. We don't tend to endorse specific textbooks for specific areas of law. We do in a couple of instances, but again, given there's free access to those textbooks at the university, there's no need to lay loads of cash on buying hard copies in advance. The next question we tend to get, which is a very understandable question at the moment, is what will the first term look like with all this COVID stuff kicking off? You'll have had a couple of emails already, and I'd keep an eye out on your inbox from Central University Communications. The best place to look is at the university level communications on this. There's plenty of information on the dedicated page for prospective students. Most of that at the minute, as you'll see if you've been on it already, and you may have seen from it being linked to by Central University emails to yourselves as well, a lot of it's focused on people who are going to struggle to get here from overseas, so when there's travel restrictions and so on. So do please familiarise yourself with that information if that applies to you. So really, the first term, information is set out on the university level pages about the sort of accommodations the university is taking, and indeed the arrangements for people who aren't able to travel to come here face to face. In terms of stuff to do on the first week, we tend to get questions from people saying things like, well, do we have anything on in academic week 1, or is that all just freshers week and we start an academic week 2? In some courses, they just have an induction within academic week 1. We actually hit the ground running really from Wednesday onwards, so you'll have a registration process earlier in the week then really you're doing sessions from Thursday onwards. So we'll have a Wednesday induction session, then you're doing sessions on Thursday and Friday, and then into week 2 it really does swing into gear. So I treat week 1 as effectively being Wednesday onwards you will have stuff on. The timetable's still being finalised at the moment, but that will be the general structure of particularly the first week. I'm going to say a lot more about that as we begin to look at the granularity of what the first week looks like later in this pre-induction programme. So as I say, there's just some general frequently asked questions we tend to get, but do feel free to get in contact with me and reply to this email with any questions you have, or indeed to post them into the wireless questions link if you prefer to do so anonymously, and I'll pick those up in the next video. If I haven't got time to do them all in the video, I might do a little written thing alongside it. So very briefly then, so we've given a bit of an outline of what the pre-induction program is going to look like. This is intended to be a bit of a shorter video to introduce that, but I do want to pick up on something that's very important as part of York Law School and is really fundamental to our pedagogy here, how we go about teaching the qualifying law degree program, and that's problem-based learning. So many of you may be familiar with problem-based learning already, and it may be the reason why you like the sound of York Law School. What I'm going to do is play you a little video which gives a nice outline on problem-based learning. It's sort of one of our glossy promotional ones, so it's quite nicely put together, where a couple of students reflect on problem-based learning. It's only a couple of minutes long, and it gives a bit of an outline of the process. In later videos, I'm going to explain a bit more about what this looks like in practice. If any of you have been to our online open day events, you may well have seen a problem be run through by a set of students and contributed to that in the chat. I'm going to go through the granularity a little bit later in this pre-induction program, but it is important that you're all aware that problem-based learning is how those qualifying law degree subjects are taught within the department, and this video gives a nice little concise outline of that. So I will clip that in now.
I think it's the closest thing a student can get to working in the same way a lawyer would on a day-to-day basis in their practice, but while still studying at the same time. Being able to take the problems a lawyer would face, deal with them the same way a lawyer would, gives you a sort of real insight into how lawyers function, and you get to learn in a really engaging way.
When I wanted to pursue a law degree, I wanted to do something different than just a lecture-based standardized learning, because I had done it before and I didn't think that that would be the best approach for me to learn law. So I wanted a more hands-on degree in which I could actually learn not only the law, but how to apply it.
I chose to do a PBL course instead of a regular course because I'm not the type of person who can do well in a lecture-based environment where I'm sitting down, learning the information, and just putting it back on an assessment. I need to be able to grapple with the coursework and grapple with the things that I'm learning, and the PBL really facilitates that for me.
The fact that you're able to engage freely, debate freely, and apply it to a problem that's really applicable to what you're studying means that the whole process is really memorable. It's actually really engaging and really fun as well. Nowhere else in the UK has this PBL teaching for law at the moment, and they've really focused their attention on skills development and ensuring that you leave here with the skills you need in the real world to develop a career, be it in law or otherwise.
We develop a lot more understanding on how to apply the law in itself than other law schools, because you would usually just have to learn the law. So learning the statutes, learning cases, that would be enough. But here you have to learn actually how to use it in a scenario and actually how to relate to other people, because obviously law is a people-based profession. So just because you know the law doesn't mean that that's going to make you a great lawyer. Being able to communicate and being able to put yourself in the shoes of your clients, that will make you a better lawyer.
Okay, lovely. So that was a short overview of problem-based learning. As I say, we're going to be picking that up a bit more throughout the pre-induction program as we move through it as well. But hopefully that's a nice little taste and a little overview. Many of you may be familiar with it already and may have done a bit more research about how the program's structured, but it's important you're all aware that that's the core pedagogy really at your law school and what marks us out, or one of the things that marks us out as being quite different to other programs. So that's everything for this pre-induction video. The next video that I'm going to be sending will be about transitioning to study at York Law School. So it'll be a bit of a longer recording, looking at advice from current students and thinking a bit about what it's like to study at York Law School at university level. And what we'll also pick up within that video as well is any questions that people have posted in advance, or posted either emailed to me or put within the tiny URL link as well. Other than that, nice to say hello. I will be back in touch within a couple of weeks or so towards the end of August, and I will look forward to any questions in the meantime. Thanks.